All right, folks, welcome back. Sheepdog Snoopy here. We've got a few topics today, really just two big ones. For the last several days, there has been a lot of Twitter activity about I believe, a Harvard graduate now, although they may still be a senior until the end of fall. But this student chose to threaten people on TikTok. As most younger people are forced to learn in their early adulthood, the internet is forever. We have many adults my age and older who still don't know that, because you will see them regularly demand something be removed from the internet. You can't do that. If you threaten someone, as this young person did, you are responsible for what you say. If I made a comment that, as a teacher, if I hear you say all lives matter, I will fail you no matter what your grades are. That is a threat to your academics. That is a threat to your possibility of graduating. And I should be fired from my position if I said it. I would never say that. But that is a threat. That is not a joke. No threat is ever a joke. Okay? I have friends who regularly tell me, I'm going to smack you. And I tell them, you try it. I don't consider any threat, even from one of my dearest friends, a joke. And I never will. I am trying to raise my nephew, or help my parents raise my nephew, and I've tried to influence my other nephew, and I'm trying to influence my niece, that words have a definite meaning and a definite impact on your life. So you must be very cautious and very aware of what you say and when you say it. This young person, however, was not aware of this fact, made the threat, and once the video of that threat went viral, this young person lost a job that they were very much looking forward to. Now, of course, this person is blaming Trump supporters for costing her dream job. No. It was the video that included your threat. Liberals didn't bat an eye when people were demanding Fox News fire Laura Ingraham because she had an ad from Chick-fil-A. And she refused to bow to their threats, so they demanded she be fired. Yet this young lady can make a threat and believes she should never be fired from any job. We saw this repeatedly over the last several years. There was the gentleman who lost an extremely good job because he was on Facebook video, I believe, but it was social media video, going through a Chick-fil-A drive-through window, ordering only water, which they would happily give him for free, and telling people, you're horrible because you work for this bigoted place, and I'm going to make sure I drive through every day and get water and cost your company money. He lost his job, an incredibly good job. He cannot find work because he is basically poison to any company that he goes to work for. Therefore, his wife now is the breadwinner. We had the rodeo clown in Missouri, which should not have happened, honestly, but he was told, go find a mask of a president. He literally could not find any former presidents. He can only find a mask of Barack Obama. This is a skit the State Fair in Missouri had been running for a long, long time, where the rodeo clown would wear a president's face mask as part of the skit. Some liberals got horribly offended that he was besmirching Obama, and he still to this day, as far as I know, cannot find work. Yet Kathy Griffin gets some star lawyer to basically demand she be not punished at all for her horrific threat against Donald Trump. People do the same thing or worse every day, and they're not even said boo about. It is a horrific double standard, and it needs to stop. There was somebody who posted about this student, and you'll notice I'm not going to say her name. I'm not going to say the company that she was going to work for and no longer is, because I hope she has learned her lesson, that her actions and her words have consequences. And I'm going to leave it at that. But there was someone who had posted basically saying, I thought you didn't like threats, Trump supporters. What about the threats on her life? My instant response was report them all. I don't care if you are a liberal or a conservative. If someone is threatening you, report them. Call the police, call the FBI, call everyone you can to report them. Report them on social media, but get a screenshot, because those people, very much like the young student in this scenario, need to be educated that their words and their actions have consequences. I would never threaten someone over social media. I don't really care about social media. Yes, I'm on Twitter. I'm on Parler and Gab as well. I've dumped my Facebook. But if someone is threatening you, report them, call the police, give the police the screenshot, make sure to report to Twitter so that they can lock the account. That ensures the person can't go on a delete spree. It's that simple. I don't want anyone, conservative or liberal, threatening this young lady, because she needs to learn her lesson through the right path, which is to grow up. Realize that a very good opportunity she had has now been taken away from her due to her actions and her words. Move forward from this. If she would give an actual sincere apology, she probably would be shocked at how fast the entire situation blew over. But so far, all it's been is tears and tantrums. And that will not get the situation to be resolved. It's just that simple. Issue number 2. It seems that Greg Abbott has decided to throw in with the deep state and far left. As of 2nd July 2020, he has issued a statewide mandate that if you are in a commercial structure, you must wear a mask. Now, I do have masks. I normally wear one while I mow the yard because it's kicking up a lot of things, but I haven't had to mow in years. My mother actually loves to mow the yard. We have a riding lawnmower, and I live on the same land as them, so she does it. I will help out if needed, but lately I haven't been needed. But I can see things for that. If I'm painting, I'll wear a mask because that's dangerous fumes. I worked for Home Depot for about a year back in around the turn of the century, and we had someone who was careless with a forklift and lost their license over it, but they punctured a bucket of concrete etch. And we managed to save 90% of the bucket, but it still got the 10% still got everywhere. In a 5-gallon bucket, that's a half gallon, roughly. So it got everywhere, and I told my boss about it. It's like, okay, well, you got most of it mopped up. We'll just cordon this off and seal it in the morning. And I won't go into the details, but I was able to do something that helped the paint department there. But while we were mopping it, while we were sealing it the next night so it could dry overnight with the fans, we were all wearing respirator masks. Very smart thing to do when you're handling caustic chemicals. When you are grocery shopping, it is not. Multiple doctors have come out in recent days and weeks and said that the healthy, the asymptomatic, should not wear a mask. Because wearing a mask, as I have said in previous videos, concentrates all exhaled breath at the nose and mouth. When you do that, if you have leftover of a common cold, if you have COVID, if you have influenza, if you have anything at all, what will happen is all of that will be concentrated at the mouth and nose. It will naturally go into the nasal cavity and through inhaled breath as well. Mine will mostly be inhaled because my nasal cavity has stopped up. But when you do that, this is stuff your body was expelling, yet now you're breathing it back in. You're going to make yourself sick. I can tell you, even with the little paper face masks, which are better than this stupid thing, that cost me 50 cents. But the paper masks, when you exhale, you can feel the heat of your breath all over your face. I will guarantee we're going to have just more and more and more people passing out in stores. And we're going to have people who end up going to the hospital, shortness of breath. Oh, I might have coronavirus. It's because they were wearing a mask. And they were ensuring that a lot of CO2 got back into their lungs. And stupidly, they didn't even care. There's already been a woman who passed out while driving and crashed her car because she was wearing a mask. And I've already been told that, correlation doesn't equal causation. Well, actually, in this case, it is causality, because the actual police report stated that she had said she was wearing a mask, began to feel lightheaded, lost consciousness, and crashed. So when someone tells you, I was wearing a mask, I felt lightheaded, I couldn't get a good breath, I passed out, and I crashed my car, they crashed their car because they passed out because they were wearing a mask. That is causality, that is not correlation. She was not sick with some horrendous virus or disease. She was not drunk, she was not tired. She passed out because she was wearing a mask. We're going to see businesses basically have an uptick in online orders and pickups. You're going to see Walmart go from, in my town, probably go from on average maybe 100 employees to 50 or less. Because if you're not serving customers in the store, you don't need those people. There will be layoffs of cashiers, layoffs of people in the clothing department and everywhere else. You'll probably have one, maybe two people per department, and a few extra for grocery that will be picking up all your things, bagging them up, and bringing them to your car. This is a blatant move. I've showed this in a past video, and I put it on a post on sheepdogsmoky.com. That is still the first one you'll see. AOC literally tweeted, "It doesn't matter. We need to keep the economy shut down. It's worth it if Trump loses." Quite literally said, I don't care how many people lose their jobs, get depressed, maybe kill themselves, maybe lose homes, lose cars. Maybe they're just completely destroyed economically. Their life is gone. As long as Trump loses, I'm fine with it. This is the mantra of the Democratic Party today. They do not care about you. They do not care about me. They don't even care about each other. They care about keeping their own office and putting someone loyal to them in the White House. They rant and rave and moan every 4 years when a Republican wins. They're going to just stack the court. They literally have promised to impeach Gorsuch and Kavanaugh and replace them with liberal judges. I've heard Democrats say, when we get the White House, we'll get rid of Gorsuch and Kavanaugh and we'll put our own people in. The very things they cry about are the very things they do. This needs to stop. Wonderful article I saw just the other day. Is it time to abolish the Democratic Party? Yes, it is. I actually think it's time to abolish political parties. All of them. If you want to run for office, you're not going to run in a primary to get a party to support you so that people who vote straight red or straight blue can just tick a box and you get their vote. No. You're going to stand and you're going to explain to the voters what your stance and position and beliefs are. And no one is going to see a D or an R or an I or whatever. They're going to see names. And they're going to vote based on the person who they feel best personifies what they want to see happen. It's the exact system the founders had in mind. They literally warned us about political parties. You don't think they did? Look at Great Britain then and now, the Whigs and the Tories and the Labour Party and Conservative Party. It has been that way for longer than we have been a country. It's only more an issue now because the king or queen is just a figurehead. There is no more monarchy to rule. The monarchy is propped up as a figurehead, kept rich and distracted, and probably hidden most of the time. But we are very fast becoming what we left. 244 years ago, we won a revolution. So we won the right to rule ourselves. Within just a few years, we had fallen to arguing and rancor. And we finally ratified a constitution and then a Bill of Rights. And for the next 200 and some odd years, that continued and got worse and worse. The 1860s saw Democrats go to war to keep their slaves and Republicans go to war to free them. Saw a Republican president who is now vilified as a white supremacist because he was Republican, He's the one who freed the slaves by executive order. He is literally the reason the slaves were freed. He knew the war was going to be won, so he issued the Emancipation Proclamation and was shot by a Democrat. Democrats are working to subjugate this country. They have been trying it for 200 years. Trust me, there were people who came over on the Mayflower, the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria, all of them. Every person who has emigrated to this country, a good number of them have been die-hard socialist liberals or just idiotic people who believe they have a right to rule the world. And for a time, the founders' vision stopped them. And even now, it still stands in the way. Barack Obama famously said he had hoped to fundamentally change the country, but the system the founders put in place was stopping him. I'm very glad it was, because we're not here to bow to the president or Congress. They are there to serve us. So is the governor. So is your state legislature, your county commissioners, your city council, your mayor. They serve the electorate. And too many of them have forgotten that. Greg Abbott's little executive order today is going to backfire. We're not going to see COVID cases go down. In fact, we will probably see them spike, because you will have people who pass out in stores because they're wearing a mask and concentrating their exhaled breath, their nose and mouth, and magically, when they get to the hospital, they'll be tested and be found COVID positive. So masks will do nothing. Doctors will continue to tell politicians, we know what we're talking about. Masks don't work this way. For crying out loud, the box for N95 masks, a box of those, quite literally says it does not block coronavirus. There are people saying viruses are sticky little things that get into globules. Yes, you will have expectorant. You will have phlegm and such that will have the virus particulate in it. But you will also have virus particulate that is not stuck to stuff. I can guarantee you, if you were sitting here right now, everything I am exhaling, whether I have expectorant or not, and as you'll notice, I've not been spitting at all, but everything I've exhaled would have gone right through an N95 mask. Yet I'm required to wear one, because snowflakes in Austin cannot fathom the idea that herd immunity is a thing. There is no vaccine for a virus. We don't vaccinate for the flu. We don't because, one, we know it mutates, and we also know that herd immunity is a thing. There is now a chickenpox vaccine. I got chickenpox when I was about 5. My little brother got them too. My sister got them too. My brother now has shingles, but he has other health issues. My sister and I, nothing. 43 years old. I'm almost 40 years from when I got the chickenpox. I'd never had a vaccine for it, never had a booster for it. Never got them again. Natural immunity works. How in the blue blazes do you think humanity survived thousands of years? Okay, century after century after century. With the exception of the Black Plague, how do you think humanity survived with all these things happening? Yes, there are isolated incidents. I mentioned in one of my class time videos, Guns, Germs, and Steel. Still one of my favorite courses of study, as it explains how European conquistadors were able to conquer a numerically superior force in Central and South America. And I mean, it is very simple. You see, the Europeans, due to societal differences and due to land, lived very, very close to their livestock compared to the indigenous people of the Inca and the Maya and the Aztec and the rest of the Central and Southern Americas. So there were viruses and other health concerns that would have come up, but given years of doing this, they had become immune. When they introduced these viruses to Central and South America, people began dying in large number, and the local people thought it was their gods punishing them, or fighting for these people in shiny armor. The Black Death killed a third of Europe. There's not a vaccine for bubonic plague. Hadn't come back. Herd immunity. The people who got it and died, that is tragic. Every death is a tragedy. Even those who live a long, healthy, full, productive life and die peacefully in their bed, happy at the life they've led, is still a tragedy for those left behind. My grandfather died in his 80s. He had an amazing life. I still miss him to this day. But the ones who didn't get sick and die still caught the Black Death. They were just not symptomatic. And the biggest difference, I would think, is at the time, I doubt there were governments saying, no, we can't let doctors treat these patients, or we will determine what the treatment is. Okay? If you look at Spanish flu, although we're not supposed to refer to things by where they come from, geography is racist. Spanish flu, 100 years ago, 1920. The quarantine, which many people point to as a reason to quarantine the entire country right now, that wasn't how the quarantine worked. In 1920, you were quarantined if you had Spanish flu. And if you then recovered, to the medical professionals' satisfaction, that changed. It wasn't shut the entire world down and everyone stay in their house until the government decides it's safe. I was watching Chad Prather earlier tonight. Literally, some people have said, I believe it was the governor of Houston who said, gatherings of more than 10 or protests of more than 100 must wear masks. What's the difference in a gathering and a protest? The difference is the protests are liberals who are burning cities down to demand the world bow to them. The mayor of Houston is a raging liberal idiot. We need common sense to return, desperately. I can tell you, if I get sick, I don't go out. I have allergies, and I have a smoker's cough. My coworkers, my family, my friends, they know this. But they also know if I say I'm sick, and I don't need to be around you. Now, working from home, I've gotten, I will say sick, but I believe both times was bad leftovers. But I was miserable for a couple, 3 days. The only day I took off was the day I was throwing up. That one I do know was bad leftovers. I cleaned out my refrigerator after that. I left sodas and bottled water and ketchup and stuff. That's it. But the couple of days after I had spent the day kneeling at the porcelain throne, I was back working. I was miserable. I had the lights off. I had a fan blowing on me. I had my air conditioner a little lower. But I still went to work. I wouldn't have done that had I not worked from home. Because I didn't know at the time. I didn't clean my fridge out until a few days later. And that's when I had found the little bit of the leftovers I had eaten that I didn't. And I smelled it and like, oh, that's what caused it. So I thought I had actually gotten sick. I found out later it was just bad food. But I wouldn't have gone back to work until I felt healthy. It's the way I ran every business I was a manager in. It's like, if you feel sick, I don't want you here. I don't need my other employees getting sick. I don't need my customers getting sick. So if you're sick, stay home. If you're not, don't wear a mask. It's that simple. It's what doctors are saying. The doctors are also saying that hydroxychloroquine works. The problem is hydroxychloroquine has no patent on it, so nobody to get rich. Masks keep you in your place. They ensure you don't go to restaurants. I mean, literally, the rules in a restaurant. You wear a mask until you get to your table, and you can take the mask off at your table to eat. You've just defeated the point of a mask. If at any point you are allowed to remove your mask while in a building, you have just defeated the entire purpose of wearing that mask to enter the building. It's that simple. If I told you to walk through that door into my home, you have to wear a mask. But as soon as you get inside, you can take it off. And you don't have to wear it while you're standing on my property. You just have to put it on while you walk through the door. That's literally the rule at restaurants. Only while you're walking in or walking out. While you're at your table, you don't have to wear it. So you've just told people who weren't wearing it when they left their house or while in their car, got out of their car and put the mask on. So they had already inhaled everything outside. But now they put a mask on and they're trapping all that right around their mouth. And then they get to the table and take it off. The mask is now contaminated. They're exhaling and breathing normally at their tables. And then they put the mask on to go back outside. There's literally no point to wearing a mask in a restaurant. But it's mandated. I mean, it is the most moronic thing that I could ever conceive of. I'm not a doctor. There was never a point in time I wanted to be a doctor. There was a time I thought I wanted to be a cop. Found out that's not what I want. There was a time I thought I wanted to be a firefighter. I loved my time on the fire department. But because I'm not a doctor, and because I don't want to become a doctor, I listen to doctors. And I look for articles written by doctors. I look for podcasts run by doctors. I call them. I email them. And when I see overwhelmingly that doctors are saying do not wear a mask, and doctors are saying hydroxychloroquine works, I begin asking, why are politicians? Greg Abbott is not a doctor. Nancy Pelosi is not a doctor. None of them are. Rand Paul is. Ben Carson is. Rand Paul has been vehemently against the subjugative nature of this quarantine. But when I see doctors telling me, this medicine works, but I can't give it to you because a politician said no. Or don't wear a mask if you're not sick, and a politician says, no, you have to wear a mask no matter what. I start to wonder what's going on, because doctors should be the one giving medical advice. For crying out loud, if you watch Demolition Ranch or Off the Ranch, Matt Carrigan, he has Vet Ranch as well, although he doesn't treat patients anymore. He will specifically tell you that people have asked him, they've written him letters asking him for advice about their pets, and he will not give it. Because until you have examined the patient, you cannot give good advice on a medical issue. He could lose his veterinary license if he advised someone as a veterinarian without actually examining their pet. I would assume it's the same for doctors. They can't examine you over video chat, although teledoc does exist. And when I got a sty and I needed to know, should I go to the hospital, I had teledoc through my insurance. So I set up a little appointment, went into a conference room at the office, and I had the video chat going, and I showed the doctor my eye. And she said, it does look like a sty. I would recommend seeing an optician or an optometrist to make sure there's no other issues in your eye. I had a new prescription anyway, so I went to the eye doctor. That's the only time I've used teledoc. And it's only because she actually thought she saw some redness in the eye that she recommended going to the optometrist. Why are we now told, oh, don't go to the hospital, don't go to your doctor, just call them. Just call them. When we know that can't work. Why are we listening to politicians who are not doctors? I can guarantee you, I am going to give everything I have to see Greg Abbott either apologize for ruling on a medical issue when he's not a doctor and reverse it, or see him out of office and a true conservative who will serve the people in office. It's the only thing that can, those are the only two things that can happen at this point. And honestly, even if he apologizes and says, the mandate is gone, I'll probably likely still try to get someone to run against him as a conservative and replace him. Because he has now proven he doesn't really care about anything but bowing to the left. It is insane. Thank you for sticking with me through this entire rant fest. I know it's been a long one and it's been tangential, but these are two things that I really needed to discuss, and I really do want to know what your opinions are. As I said with issue 1, I will never tolerate threats being made. Threats to me or threats against someone else. If you are threatening someone, it is never a joke. I don't care if you say, oh, this is just a joke. As the student tried to say, where the tag was, for legal reasons, this is a joke. That is literally the biggest cop-out there is. That is quite literally her saying, as I know you people don't like to be threatened by me, I'm going to say this is a joke, so that when you are threatened by me, I can cry. And it's exactly what happened. But I will not tolerate threats against her either. Threats are not the way we work. She needs to do a little more growing up, gain a little more maturity, and realize it was her words that caused this. And she's the only one who can control what she says. For the second, it seems that Texas is the latest red state to have a governor capitulate to the left. What are your thoughts on these? Remember to be civil, though. We're not here to threaten, scream, yell, cuss, insult, whatever. We're here to discuss, dissent, and debate, and we are logical adults. So remain civil adults. As always, please like and share the video so that you are widening the conversation and so that you are going to help the algorithm. Please do remember also to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you are kept aware of all new content as it posts, and so that you're part of the giveaway at 500, 1,000, and 1,500 subscribers. Until next time, everyone have a wonderful day.